So, Michael, one of the things that we've heard quite a bit about Donald Trump, that and I've been saying this since the beginning of the race, frankly. The only sort of real divergence he has from Republican orthodoxy, well, there's two things. Supposedly trade, right?
Supposedly.
But look, we know in the debates there were at times 2 or 3 senators on that stage who were very likely going to be in a position to vote on the TPP. They voted on the Fast Track Authority. They could vote on the TPP. Okay, they're going to probably vote on it. It could come up in a lame duck session. Donald Trump never once tried to put them on the hot seat about that. Now, you think about that, folks. He can talk about trade in the generic all he wants, but we've already seen him try to walk back multiple of his positions. The only other position he had where he was in any way divergent from Republican orthodoxy, Michael, you know what it is. It's that he wasn't going to cut Social Security.
All right.
Well, this week, Donald Trump supposedly told House Speaker Paul Ryan, this is according to a Bloomberg Business Week. It's not a liberal publication. Donald Trump supposedly told House Speaker Paul Ryan that he supports cutting Social Security, but will not admit it publicly because it would hurt his election chances.
Yeah, I actually buy that. I think he's actually not hustling Ryan on that. That sounds as close as Donald Trump's going to get to saying something directly and truthfully to somebody.
Here's what's unbelievable, too. He says, in terms of cutting Social Security, from a moral standpoint, I believe in it. But you also have to get elected, and there's no way a Republican is going to beat a Democrat when the Republican's saying, we're going to cut your Social Security, and the Democrat's saying, we're going to keep it and give you more.
So he's a bit smarter than the average Republican.
Yeah, no.
That's how he's different.
Yeah, well, the point is
politically,
that he knows.
Yeah.
He knows, because maybe he's seen it, that you can go out there and lie to the American public. He certainly has not been held to account for any of his other lies.
Nope.
And he goes in and he tells Paul Ryan, look, I'm with you. I've already announced the 11 judges that I would appoint to the Supreme Court of the United States. They are, all of them, been vetted and signed off by the Heritage Foundation. So that's exactly who Ted Cruz would pick. And now I'm coming to you and telling you about the only other piece of orthodoxy that I'm not, and I bet he's already sold the trade thing down the river.
Well, the trade thing is so easy. As soon as he's in the room on a trade deal, then automatically it's a well-negotiated deal.
Exactly.
Done. I mean, there's nothing to it.
If I'm, it's sort of his version. If I'm the president, it can't be illegal.
Exactly.
Well, if I'm the president and I made the trade deal, it can't be a bad trade deal.
Exactly.
And so here he is, and this is after the I guess their May 12th meeting, and so. Here you have Donald Trump basically saying, I'm going to cut Social Security. I'm not going to say I'm going to cut Social Security. But listen, at the end of the day, these are there's basically 2 constituencies he has, maybe 3. One is normal Americans. And so he's desperate to attempt to appeal to normal Americans because he already has the Republican primary voters wrapped up. So now he has to appeal to normal people. But there's one other set of people that he's got to appeal to, Michael, and that is basically the Republican establishment. He doesn't care what Paul Ryan thinks of him. He only cares what Paul Ryan thinks of him because he cares that Republican donors, big Republican donors, will give him money. And this week we saw another story. This one from just June 1st, from Wednesday of this week. Donald Trump has pitched himself as an insurgent who will upend Washington, but he's privately telling big donors that he's committed to keeping the 2 most senior establishment Republicans in their congressional leadership posts.
Absolutely.
In other words, he's basically doing everything that he has railed against. His pledge that he won't try to oust Paul Ryan or Mitch McConnell was a key factor in a decision by coal industry executives Joe and Kelly Kraft to raise money for the presumptive Republican nominee. I mean,
There you go.
This is all you need to know about this guy.
Don't let him sort of trump university the country. And I mean, I also just think that the other lesson here that's important and goes back to anybody who, to touch on the Bernie or bust conversation for a second. Coalitions and constituencies in politics matters. So even if you believe for whatever reason that Donald Trump actually does have contempt for elites and he's an outsider, blah, blah, blah. If you want to run for president and you want to be the nominee of a party, you have to satiate and soothe your constituents, your base, your donors, even if you're, a megalomaniac.
And you need this. And the fact is, you need it during the course of your
you need it if you're going to govern. It's not just talking about. Yeah, absolutely. And so this is who he's courting. Coal magnates, and any Democrat, no matter how bad they are, is going to have to, a revitalized, to some degree, labor movement, people who are worried about inequality, and an emerging constituency that's really progressive, and that's the field you want to play in, not some, guy who just really some essentially a scam artist who, when you actually peel back and get to policy, is just going to be maybe a more entertaining Mitt Romney, but a much more kind of personally unhinged Mitt Romney.
That's right. I think that's a great way to refer to him. Also, I got to say, Mitt Romney, actually his real hair on his head, not
help of some product, but no fraudulence.
Exactly, indeed.